Thank you for tuning in on our new YouTube channel, Momentum Dubai. I'm sitting here with Giulio Minetto, my colleague, and we are actually doing our very first YouTube video. We've been wanting to do it for a very long time, but we never had the chance, the resources to do it. Now Giulio joined as a marketing manager in our company, and we're ready to do so. We're going to speak about a lot of interesting, exciting content. It will be interviews, it will be traveling, it will be just stories about watches, and we're going to show our nice watches and more. The idea of doing the YouTube is that we would like to speak a little bit more about the stories, the watches itself. Pictures only say so much, but it's always nicer to see something, and we have a lot to tell. Giulio?
Thank you so much, Tariq. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here, and it's a pleasure of also being part of this new chapter of Momentum and this new chapter of you, Tariq. It's insanely interesting to be surrounded by all these kind of amazing watches and amazing treasures that we have here in our boutique in ICD. And I think that for the people that are watching us, it would be very interesting to understand how we got to this point, what Momentum is, and what happened in the past 30 years. So Tariq, why don't we go through your history and the history of Momentum, what brought you from Germany to the sparkling Dubai, building over 13 years an empire based on day dates and also many more interesting objects and treasures.
Well, it started very early in in 2011, when the idea was to come to Dubai and to open the first vintage watch store in the region. And it was a little bit of a challenge. UAE, the Middle East has different dynamics of looking at these things. First, they appear to be used in secondhand, and when people dig more into it and spoke to us, they said, okay, these are actually discontinued treasures. The idea was to create a space where clients and interested people can come and explore these things and get the education with it, because vintage without education does not work. Anyways, I don't want to start too early. Fast forward, we tried a lot of things. We knew what's working, we knew what's not working. It all melted down to the brand Rolex. I think a lot of watch collectors and dealers can confirm that's the best thing to trade in, and our interest went into Rolex. And then I always had a passion for the day date. I don't know. This watch just has like a completely different dynamic than anything else. I think in 2015, Philips Watches did an auction, the Glamorous Day Date. They sold 60 day dates. A lot of them, maybe the majority of them, reached world record status. And that was more like the eye opener for the general collecting community and the dealership. That this model actually deserves a little bit more attention. However, we didn't see the aftermath of the auction was not that everyone started doing day dates. Everyone kind of went back to what they were doing. And I kind of got stuck with the idea that I really love the day date. And we want to do more. We want to bring more interesting pieces to educate the people and actually to make the day date great again. If we look at 6, 7, 8 years ago, the day date was an old man's gold watch, and that was it. Technically, somebody who had the funds and was at that status bought a gold watch to reward himself or get that recognition that he bought the president of the watches. However, there's very, very few people who actually went into collecting with day dates at a very, very early stage. The day date is a model together with the date just as well, which comes in a universe of configurations. I think at that stage, a lot of people were not aware of what actually exists from the day date, which models exist, what's sought after, what differentiates themselves, the watches from other watches, and we took it as a mission to actually make the day date great again. We take a lot of effort to find good and interesting rare day dates, and being based in the Middle East, I would say, where the day date is, I would say, one of the most popular models, at least at that time in the past. we try to speak to Middle Eastern families here who came in and indicated interest in our watches. We said, what kind of watches do you have? And then a lot of gems came out. I remember this person just saying, oh, I have a gold watch at home. And I said, yeah, would you like to bring it so we can look at it? And that was something I had never seen before. It was a configuration like not seen before. I've actually not seen it again. I have to see if I find a picture and we post it on Instagram. What I want to say is that the Middle East is full of treasures when it comes to day dates. And we've bought many first owner watches, of which some were commissioned for personal, like for special people. And if we look at the dynamics, if we start comparing the day date to a Submariner, to a GMT, to other watches, the day date has completely different dynamics. Like if you're very wealthy or you're affluent in the 70s, 80s, you don't go and have a Submariner made for you or a GMT. You know, it was always a day date. I want a special day date. I mean, a lot of influential people in the world started their journey with day dates at that time, and we still speak about them. Yeah, the model just has that different dynamic, and that's what I liked, and we dug more into it. And I think we started pushing the day date very hard in 2016.
2016, okay, cool. But let me ask you something. So, I mean, here on this tray, we have 3 different watches: Onyx, Coral, UAE. Now these watches are like grails today.
Yes.
Like wanted by everyone in the world. But how was introducing these kind of watches to people in the Middle East back in 2016 or even before?
So let's speak about the example of the Onyx Day Date, be it a single or double quick, doesn't matter. I remember when I came to Dubai in 2011, with my business partner, I went to the Gold Souk, which was the only hub to find watches which were kind of not new. And we saw these pieces selling for $12,000, $15,000,
okay,
you know, with an Onyx dial. And nobody wanted the Malachite dial at that time. You know, it was the cheapest one. Today is the most expensive one. We found Lapis Day Dates. We bought Lapis Day Dates there for around 50,000 dirhams, which is like $13,800, $14,000.
Yeah.
All those watches, I mean, that we're speaking about approximately 10 years back, all those watches have almost tripled in value.
So in 2016, you started introducing these models, like to Dubai, to the Middle East, and of course, all over the world, because you work everywhere in the world with many people and many people that became also friends around the world. But
a lot of people also we've never met, they just bought online.
yeah, of course, see. But also many of them, like, they became friends, they're coming to Dubai quite often, they're visiting. There are many things happening in Dubai, like Dubai Watch Week, many events, so there's a good flow of people. But my question is how the Middle Eastern market reacted to these pieces, now like costing this much.
See, usually, I mean, that was the price at that time, the one I mentioned, $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 for a day date, where a regular dial one was like $7,000, you know? At that time, it was a little bit difficult to explain, especially the Middle Eastern market. The international market was okay, but the Middle Eastern market, that a dial, a stone dial, can have a premium that the watch actually costs double the price.
No.
You know, I remember the Coral dial at that time. I think we had one very early. It was like a $40,000 watch.
Okay.
Today we're speaking almost 200.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so it was very difficult for people to explain that just because this dial is black and has no print, like no indexes on it, it's double the price. So it was actually a tough time educating the clientele. And I remember that some of those people who didn't want to buy the watch in 2016 at $20,000, they came and bought the watch at $45,000 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so it was very tough. I mean, the Middle East has always been this. Let's say Dubai has always been the city of the superlative. What was very important was that you had the latest and the best things. That's what Dubai is known for. And to come in with vintage watches, which some people still considered as second-hand, that was a tough journey.
That was, see, I can imagine. I can actually imagine. But that's very actually interesting because tough journey, but I mean, you're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Years.
I remember clients coming in, Middle Eastern, local community coming in, looking at a watch and said, that's not new. I said, yeah, it's an old watch. That's used. No, it's vintage. Yes. You know, so
completely change the point of view.
I think it's very important that we communicate very, very strong about these watches and tell the stories about these watches. Explain the evolution, where these models are coming from and where they're standing today. Luckily, the auction industry, the big auctions, I mean, some watch people always see these results on the web or on Instagram. They understand that there's something like a very strong vintage watch market, and certain things like the Paul Newman, certain day dates. I mean, the day date Onyx is the most popular day date from all, and I think that's the one we sold most. So when these things then achieve high prices at auctions, then we can also say, okay, here, we have this piece here, and they understand it then.
Yep, I got it. I mean, you educated people to these kind of watches in a way. But the funny thing is that some of the watches you're trying to sell to people that needs to be educated are actually coming from their home country, actually, like the UAE. But can you tell me something more about this watch?
So this is a 18038. It's a yellow gold dated with a quick set movement. It was ordered specially from the UAE government.
Okay.
It has the Ministry of Defense logo on the dial, the UAE Armed Forces logo on the dial. This watch, I mean, this is a precious metal watch, the gold watch. This was probably the highest rank of gift they could do.
Yeah.
So they gave this watch to standing officers, important delegations, to some countries, like some of these watches, we bought them from other countries, from the UK, from Pakistan, where officers were actually gifted these out of appreciation that the foreign military has trained the UAE military. So there's a nice story behind it. I can almost say with certainty that 99% of people who got this watch as a gift in the country will not sell it.
I get it.
You will not sell it. But we've bought some watches here, very few. And the rest we bought also from abroad when they were gifted to foreign army.
Yeah, that's very interesting actually. That's really, I can see like the UAE dial watches and in general like the Rolex watches and Patek Philippe watches or the Marpiga watches with like royal crest on it are like treasures.
These watches, I mean, we were able to, we were able to buy these watches very easily, like 7-8 years ago. I remember in the old shop in the Gate building, we had one showcase, one full showcase, which only had UAE logo watches in it.
Okay.
So that was like 13, 14, 15 pieces at a time. And the Precision, the small 34 millimeter watch, I think we were selling it for 12,000 dirhams, which is approximately $3,300. So today, it's not only that these watches have gone up tremendously in value, but you can't find many anymore. You know, a lot of these have found their ways into collections and they're not coming out. I mean, they're not very, very expensive. If you look at it as a vintage Rolex, they're still like $10,000, $8,000, $13,000. So a lot of people who buy them, they just keep them. You know, so it's good for them. It's bad for us because we find less watches.
Of course, actually, yeah. What about the coral? I mean, totally different kind of thing, but still super, super rare.
Yeah, I think the coral is a grail among the stone dial day dates. Yeah, if I'm right, then it's been only done on a day date.
Okay.
And ladies models, but not on a date just. The nicer stone dials are always those which don't have any diamond applications on them. So they are super clean and neat. They only have the print on it, the coronet, the day and date window, and that's it.
And no cracks, of course.
And of course, no cracks. Later, at a later stage, in the double quickset stage, there were some stone dials coming with 10 diamonds. They will come with 6 and 9 diamonds. They are very nice. But I think these are still dials which you can get from Rolex today, and accordingly, there's not that much value behind. There is value, but it's not that high.
Yeah.
The most sought after ones are the ones without any diamond applications, and that multiplies the value if it becomes a white metal watch like platinum or white gold. Like they could reach up to $500,000.
Absolutely. Okay, so thank you very much for telling me something more about the core. It's an amazing watch and an amazing dial.
But the color is amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. It's very nice. And with no cracks, it's even more nice. It's even nicer. No, let's get back to the Onyx dial, one of the most popular.
Most popular.
Okay. Let's say the most popular watch and dial actually of today. So, tell me something more about it.
You know, this is a double quick example. Double quick means it's a 1999 A series. It already has the smooth day and date windows, the earlier day and date windows, like you see here. They are much edgier, much sharper, much bigger. So this is the later version of it. And it's very sleek. You have the gold print, you have the crown, the golden hands, the windows. Like that is the absolute bare maximum we want to see on a Onyx Day Date. We have to consider, I mean, they are, I would say, they're not very expensive today if I look at what it is, like at $45,000. I think it's a very, very good watch to buy today. But don't underestimate the rarity of stone dials. Stone dials are fragile. Stone dials can break. Watchmakers can damage those stone dials if you go to the wrong watchmaker. These are watches that are highly cherished, and we believe the way it's been going and the awareness we have on the day we can see on the day today. I think these watches in the future will be worth much more.
Definitely, but let me ask you something about stone dials. I mean, rarity. They're very fragile. And
I don't want to scare you. They're not that fragile that you can't wear them. But a shock to those is more.
Let's say that you need to treat them properly.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. But they're still rare watches. I mean, rare dial. So we see many of these watches nowadays in the market. So how, let's say, easy is for you to spot like a correct dial?
You mentioned something well. So. What you mentioned is that there's so many watches coming to surface. So this has different reasons. First of all, those people who have these watches have a smile on their face because the prices went up and they pull them out and put them on the market. That's one way why we see more coming up.
And we're talking about real watches.
Yes, and the sad part is when things become more expensive in any industry, where a product is sold, sadly, there's forgers coming into a game who go and study these watches. There's enough pictures online. They might even buy an original piece to replicate and to produce counterfeit dials. Sadly. I think it impacts the market definitely, but that just tells you that as a client, you should look for these watches. You should buy these watches from someone who is a specialist for these, who you can trust, who's known for these. That's the only way for you to be really safe when buying these watches. But because the last thing you want to do is someone goes and buys this watch from somebody and starts authenticating it after you bought it. That doesn't make no sense at all. 100%. You know, you should do your due diligence. However, not everyone's that experienced that they can identify a genuine dial by themselves. So you need to go to the specialist. You need to go to someone who can. That's the only way to get you safe.
I get it. Like you. Like someone.
Well, we try to be as accurate as possible. And so far, all good.
Oh, good. But yeah, speaking of like specialists and people who can actually authenticate and who can actually deal with these kind of watches, which yes are not so fragile, but they're still they need to be treated in a proper way. Tell me more about the evolution of momentum and what do we have here in the back, like the new service center.
We actually wanted to have a quality backbone in our premises. Most of the watch shops have a service center somewhere, or they're using a watchmaker somewhere who's external. We have our watchmaker since 8 or 9 years now. The service center in the old shop was not available. It was in a different office. But now that we moved here, actually, you're going to laugh, but the shop was built around the service center because I can sell watches in 4 or 6 square meters if I have to, but the service center needs dedicated space for repairing, servicing, washing, and all these things, polishing.
Tools, yes.
So we have a 25 square meter service center in the shop, and we have put a window outside so you can actually see the watchmaker working.
Okay.
This is a very, very important factor for us. So we service our own watches. We service watches which clients bring in. And of course, we inspect watches before we actually purchase them to be able to guarantee that everything's good and the client can come in and have a hassle-free experience, and he doesn't need to go anywhere after purchasing a watch to have it authenticated or anything. I think we are very, very strongly pursuing this point that the client really needs a no-hassle watch.
I get it. That's very interesting, and for sure like an added value for Momentum and like for the whole city, because having a service center in the heart of Dubai, in the IFC, where you can just walk in and like do whatever you want, from like changing a battery to servicing.
Not only that, we're actually offering a service beyond that. We have a service center here, and you can walk in and have your things done. But we actually have a pickup and drop service, a secure pickup and drop service, where we get watches in and out to the client to give them the convenience. We have so many clients that say, oh, I have these watches in my drawer, I need to get them serviced and I don't have time to come. We'll come to you.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's fully secure and it's working very well. Our driver is in the car literally
like
all the time.
Okay, cool. Amazing.
So going back to day dates and Grail day dates, the day date, which used to be 10 years ago, used to be the old man's gold watch. It's actually $1 million watch now. You know, they sold, I think, Jack Nicklaus watch for, I think, $1.3 million. And Sotheby's sold a rainbow Kandjar day date from the Sultanate of Oman, also exceeding $1 million. So this was really, really, really a big deal. And I was so happy. I mean, we did an interview, I think, with that time with Rob Report, who asked me my opinion or my input on that result. And it shook up a lot of people. The day is now $1 million watch. That's crazy.
So, like, time to buy.
Yeah.
Time to buy for sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I would say is the day date is, I think, it's gone up a lot since I would say it was made great again. However, I feel still that there's a lot of potential for these things to go up, and it's still for most watches an attractive point to come in and join the game.
Yeah, you know, something else that for me is very interesting is that every day I'm coming to the office and I am like coming to your desk and you're like showing me a new day date with a new dial, with a new finishing, with new this, new that, new reference. So it's crazy how many different day dates exist.
I think nobody knows. I think nobody knows. And again, going back to the dynamics of this very watch, I mean, if you were an affluent person in the 70s, or 80s, and you had the money to commission a special day date, maybe you've never put it on the market because you actually don't need to sell it. We know that Michael Jackson sells his gloves and other film stars sells their requisites. I don't understand it. They should swim in money. Why they're selling their stuff, you know? Yeah. But then in the Middle Eastern culture is, I don't think you go and sell your old items. Like even if you have a car and you want a new car, you don't go and sell the car. You actually swap it for the new one, you know, but you don't sell it for money. So, and the same thing, you know what's happening? What's funny and interesting here in the Middle East is that the old generation who bought these watches in the 70s, 80s, 90s, I think they would never sell those things.
Okay.
They would never sell those things. How do we get our hands on them? Sometimes is that the younger generation now,
Maybe
you know, they're on Instagram, they're on the internet, they're on TikTok, they see all these news, these, I would say, attraction news, these world records, and they say, oh wow, there's a Daytona sold for 600,000. Let me see, we have one in the safe, let me go and see, and they bring it in, we're like, oh my God. You know, like the younger generation is actually open to selling these watches. You know, so very interesting. We always wait for these kind of people to come in, and if you have an interesting watch which you believe we haven't seen before, please bring it in. We would love to see it. Maybe we would love to buy it.
Amazing. So let's say that the Day Date is a watch that used to be old man's like old watch, but now it's a watch that has a huge potential, because I mean you never know what could come up tomorrow, and there could be endless combinations, and so for sure, I mean, it's a watch that has a huge potential.
Yeah, whenever we wake up, there could be coming something new, especially in the Day Date range. I mean, Daytona, Submarines, GMTs. I'd say we've seen 99.9% what's off the market. We've seen already, but in Day Dates, there's always something special. And when you see them in the morning, sometimes I already have it for 2 days. I'm just wearing it.
that's the point.
You know, I love buying watches that I like myself. I mean, everything is handpicked here. But sometimes I have a watch, I buy it for sale, and it's on my wrist for 2 weeks because I don't want to sell it. And then I will sell it, of course. That's in most cases.
Maybe because you put like your passion in what you're doing, so you're buying what you like, and
but sometimes it's the smallest things which attract you, and it doesn't have to be like we're doing these collectibles. You know, we have some ashtrays and Hermes and Osprey stuff. So I want to show you something I bought recently. Do you know what that is?
You told me what it is, but no, I didn't know that.
Okay, so this is actually, it says Viceroy on the dial. It's a strap, it's a watch with a loop for a strap. Wow. So this is actually a golf watch.
Okay.
For the golf, it's a watch for a golf bag, and it's retailed under the name of Viceroy. Okay. Now, a lot of people might not know that Rolex also operated under different names, especially in the 1930s to 40s, maybe up to the 50s, like Eaton, you have Unicorn, and you have Viceroy. So you open this watch, and in the backside it will say Rolex Watch Company. Okay. That's crazy. That's crazy. So for golfers, it's a manual wind stainless steel strap watch for the golf bag. This is just like wow for me. It like made my day when I bought it.
Where you found it?
I found it with a dealer in Paris. Okay. And he sent it to me, and I said, "What is it?" You know, and he said, "That's a Rolex golf watch." I said, "Okay, send it to me."
Cool. It's the perfect gift for someone who loves to play golf
in style.
In style, and he loves vintage, and yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah. So we do these collectibles. I love this. I actually started. How did we start with the collectibles? We have a big section on the website now, but how did I start? I actually like to buy nice objects, be it whatever it is. If it's a frame, it's a clock, it's a mirror, it's whatever it is. Leather accessories. I love certain brands. There's Hermes, there's Osprey, there's Dunhill. And what we've done now recently is also getting vintage sunglasses into our inventory. We partnered up. I think you must have seen it on Instagram if you follow us. We partnered up with Emirati brand. Emirati means homegrown UAE brand, with two of my best friends here in the country, and we're representing them here. We have like Missoni, Paloma Picasso, Nina Ricci, Alpina, all the old cool brands. We have them here. Most of them are new old stock. Yeah. And what's the cool thing about them is today the entire sunglass business is divided into one company which owns 80%, and then some companies who own the rest. But what's nice about these old things, and you'll see the differences when you walk through the shop, these are the sunglasses when all those brands were independent and not belonging to the big Luxottica group. So the brand DNA in those items is much higher, and they're very different from each other than today.
I think it's like something that could be, let's say, general for all the vintage collectibles. Because
Yes.
the vintage collectible has a different appeal than like the new objects. I'm not saying new objects are not good, but when you, for example, check those glasses, you can see literally the level of detail, which is something else.
Yeah.
Or like some glasses made in West Germany, when West Germany was something. Nowadays, everything is more standardized.
Very, very similar.
Same. So it's a kind of appeal that you can find in many of like the vintage objects we have here, but with vintage in like general. And I think what you say about you like to buy nice objects, nice watches, nice objects in general, it's because you have the germ, let's say, of the collector.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the point.
I started actually buying them for the shop to decorate the shop.
Yeah.
And then we put the things up, like old remover briefcases and whatnot. And then people started coming and buying them. This is how we actually got them on for sale, because they were only displayed in the shop to make the shop nicer. And I think it works. The shop looks nicer with those things. Sometimes they go, we get new stuff in.
No. All the objects are amazing, selected, and like you can really see there's someone behind with taste that is like going
Right.
all around the world to stick them and to stick them. They do stuff. No.
To look for them.
Okay, going around like going like traveling. See?
You're live, huh?
Yes, yeah.
You're on the video.
Okay, you want to come and jump in?
You're asking me.
No, sorry.
Anyways, so thank you for watching. These 3 watches and the golf watch, I think it's listed or will be listed soon, are on the website. The link below the video. Thank you for tuning in. Follow this channel, share it with your friend, and subscribe. And see you for the next one.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Tariq.
Thank you.
Thank you.